Hello, I'm Paul Peterson. Today we're going to look at retirement careers, volunteerism, and an exciting program which allows retired Americans to redefine their retirement years by engaging them in contributing a wealth of experience to society. Stay tuned for Aging in L.A. Switching careers midlife can be daunting, especially in tough economic times. But armed with a well-conceived plan of action, opportunities to find fulfilling employment are out there. More than ever, retirees are seeking meaningful ways in which they can pursue new careers and make meaningful contributions to society. Civic Ventures is leading the call to engage millions of baby boomers as a vital workforce for change, who can use their experience to help in solving serious social problems, including education, environmental issues, health care, and homelessness. Our guest in the first half of this show is the director of the Purpose Prize, which is a division of Civic Ventures. Jim Emmerman, who will share with us his vision for redefining retirement and harnessing the experiences of the rapidly increasing retired population, is our guest. Later in the program, we'll meet Kathy Eldon, a 2008 Purpose Prize Fellow, who will share her story. Welcome, Jim. Thank you so much for making the time for us today. Could you describe what the Purpose Prize is?
Sure. Thanks, Paul. First of all, I just want to say I'm delighted that we have the opportunity to talk today.
Great.
I'm, of course, very excited to talk about the Purpose Prize. But I think probably to understand it, maybe we need to step back just one little bit and talk about what Civic Ventures is trying to do, because it's the context for the Purpose Prize.
Please, okay.
We think that we have a society that really has undervalued the potential contribution of older adults, and we have a definition of retirement that is largely about stepping aside, winding down, disengaging.
Right.
When in fact we have a population where increased longevity and improved health means that rather than disengaging, people are perhaps at the peak of their contributing years,
right,
with a wealth of experience and knowledge. And our country really needs to find ways to tap into that, to make the most of it, because otherwise we, risk losing this huge resource for solving big problems and relegating people who have a huge amount of energy and passion to the sidelines. So that's the background for the Purpose Prize.
Right.
The Purpose Prize is a way of highlighting those people over the age of 60 who are making extraordinary contributions through their creativity to solving big social problems. Mm-hmm. We give every year, this is the third year of the program, 5 $100,000 prizes to older adults over the age of 60 who have begun in their 50s or later a new social enterprise. They've found a way to address a big, important social problem. It could be national in scope. It could be in their local community. Mm-hmm. This year, in fact, for the first time, it could be international in scope.
Wow. Okay.
And we feel that we find these people and tell their stories. We elevate them to become role models, really, for 76 million baby boomers who are trying to figure out what they're going to do next.
Right, and we don't have very good images in the media and the way this senior issues are reported, because there's almost like, oh, let's send you out to pasture. And that's not a good idea for our society. We need these people. Now, can you describe what the encore career?
Well, yes, sure. The Purpose Prize winners represent in...
Oh, I so apologize about the fly, Jim. We have an unwelcome guest in the studio. Please, go ahead.
Okay.
What an encore career may be.
I'll try and ignore the encore insect, the encore insect in the room. Well, the Purpose Prize, the winners of the Purpose Prize and the people that we find through the Purpose Prize represent one part of a spectrum that we think extends much more broadly. They're social innovators. They've created a new social innovation, a new institution, a new program, a new solution to a social problem. But there are millions of people who wish to find new careers at this stage of life, post-midlife, that combine continued income, personal satisfaction, very important component of it.
Right, you bet.
Perhaps the flexibility that they're looking for at this stage in their life, if they're caring for somebody else, if they want a vacation or be with grandchildren. And most of all, social impact. So the combination of those three things, really, jobs that combine addressing a social problem, personal meaning, and continued income or benefits or some of the other characteristics of a traditional job are what we have come to call encore careers. And what we find is that particularly, and I think the economic crisis that we're in right now highlights this maybe in a way that we never really completely understood before, people have to keep working.
Yes, they do.
You know,
they truly do.
They don't have the wherewithal in their retirement savings to, stop working at 50 or 55 or even 60. Many, many people will have to keep working. So the question is, what kind of work are they going to do? Right. And we think that there is a huge benefit to, as you mentioned earlier, areas like education where teaching shortages in math and science.
Especially math and science.
Especially math, science, in healthcare, in elder caregiving. These are all areas where we need people who can bring the empathy and the experience of age to these important social areas. And these are opportunities for what we call encore careers.
Well, and it's critically important that you elevate the people who are making an impact and give them the recognition they most certainly deserve, because you really, in effect, are identifying best practices. Folks, this is how you do it. Right.
Well, what we hope through the Purpose Prize, in specific, and the connection between the Purpose Prize and the Encore Career idea is a very integrated concept. The Purpose Prize, we hope that people look at the winners of the Purpose Prize and can find somebody in those winners of the Purpose Prize that they can identify with.
Right.
So we have people who have, had great accomplishments in their previous careers. This year we'll talk about some of the examples, but this year we had a woman who was a famous mountaineering expedition leader.
Wow.
On the other hand, we had somebody who was a gardener, who came to this country with $20 in his pocket and a sixth grade education, built a gardening business, and a few years ago launched a foundation to give college scholarships to needy Latino youth who couldn't afford to go to college otherwise. So the range is really vast.
And I'm sure some of them, like me, were suddenly confronted with aging issues with their parents, perhaps, and all of a sudden say, wait a minute, why doesn't this service exist? Well, I'll make one.
Right, exactly. They, the way that they got to these stages of life are fascinating, and there are some very common themes, and Kathy will illustrate one of them. Some of them, really were confronted with personal tragedy and confronted with sort of the issues of mortality, either somebody in their family or they themselves. Maybe they were diagnosed with cancer or something like that, and that made them feel that this is the time that they have to do something different.
Wow.
Others toiled in a job for years and years, maybe doing something good, like working in the foster care system one side, and they just saw the limitations of the system. And at a certain point, they felt that they had the wisdom and the knowledge, the experience, and the risk, and the ability to take the risk to break out of that and start something really new.
Well, that's what a wonderful definition of a person new to being older, a senior, who can take risks, who knows that something is lacking, and finds it in themselves to create, whether it's a business or a consulting business, or maybe it's hands-on care, to really find fulfillment, maybe for the first time in their life. I'm reminded of my Grandpa Burr, who said, Paul, you find a job that you love and you'll never go to work a day in your life. And you've seen these people.
Right, that's exactly what they say.
Yes.
I mean, they say, you know, I feel guilty describing it as a job.
Exactly.
You know, because they love so much what they do. And, you know, for many of them, they say, I'm working harder than I've ever worked before, and I'm loving it more than anything else that I've ever done.
Wow. And I think it's good for the families, too. I mean, oftentimes the sons and daughters will go, what's Mom up to now? Well, Mom's up to some very good things that you can be truly proud of. I like to see that within families where just about the time the kids say when they're, you know, mid-30s into their 40s, you know, we've got this albatross called Mom or Dad. It's like, no, Mom and Dad are alive and vital and they've raised you, and now they're going to help others. It's just such a. Tell me how Civic Ventures began. Now, Mark Friedman was the gentleman.
The founder was Mark Friedman. He was somebody who had been doing work on mentoring and studying mentoring programs around the country. This was about 10 years ago, and he discovered that, in fact, some of the most effective mentors and mentoring programs were ones that were using people who were retired and people for whom the expectation was, you know, your time is over, you should be, you know, stepping aside. But these were, in fact, the most effective mentors of young kids. And it dawned on him that if these people could be such great mentors and advance the learning and the social skills of the kids that they were working with, what about the millions and millions of other people who were never asked to do something?
Wow. And since isolation is such a big element in many seniors' lives, this is a chance to break free of that, to get out there and actually put what you know on the line.
One of our winners from this year runs a program, actually, in Fargo, North Dakota, of all places, which, this might come as a surprise to you, it did to me. There are, I believe, 8,000 resettled refugees from Africa, Iraq, and all parts of the world that were torn by conflict, who were given refugee status in the United States and resettled there in this place where nobody was familiar with their culture. They were completely out of their culture. And she created a program called Giving and Learning that actually uses older adults as mentors for these new Americans to help them to learn English, to get driver's license, to pass the exam for nursing assistants. And she's literally organized, I think, probably close to 800 older adults in Fargo, North Carolina, to be one-on-one mentors to these new Americans. And what she said is, you just have to ask. These are people who haven't been asked. You just have to ask.
That is, of course, that's true. And we're better than the American Midwest. You know, you're talking to an Iowa boy, so I get that. There's that wonderful extension of their humanity that's really quite natural. And it's not a faith issue. These are core American beliefs. Everybody can buy into the system, and age shouldn't be a barrier. Now, you've amassed some incredible statistics about the common threads of Encore careers. Can you share a bit of that research?
We did, yes. Just this past year, we did what was the first national study of the phenomena that we call Encore careers. And what we found, really to our surprise, is that of the population we surveyed, which was people aged 45 to 70, I believe, that already somewhere between 7 and 9% of that population has an Encore career. That is, they've switched from something that they were doing before to a work that combines income and social impact in areas that we're considering to be the most high need: education, nonprofits, healthcare, and so forth.
Now, you guys had a really big event this past weekend, and I want to talk about that when Kathy joins us. But right now, it's time for a short break. So when we come back, we will continue our discussion of Civic Ventures, and we will meet a 2008 Purpose Prize Fellow. We'll be right back.
The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power wants to give you up to 7 free shade trees just for completing a workshop, either online or in your neighborhood. The Trees for a Green LA program offers LADWP residents over 40 different varieties of free shade trees. Trees benefit the environment, save energy, and add beauty. Get your trees by participating in an online workshop by logging on to ladwp.com/trees or call 1-800-GREEN-LA.
During a disaster, you and your neighbors become actual first responders to assist each other in your area. Law enforcement, paramedics, and firefighters may be unable to reach you for up to 72 hours. Ensure that you and your neighbors are prepared to assist each other. For more information, please contact the Department on Disability or the Emergency Management Department by calling the numbers on the screen or by dialing 311.
Welcome back to Aging in LA. Our topic today, Civic Ventures, an organization dedicated to involving seniors and their experiences in solving serious social problems. In the first part of our program, we spoke with Jim Emmerman, director of the Purpose Prize. And joining us now is one of the 2008 Purpose Prize Fellows, Kathy Eldon. Kathy, welcome to our show. I'm so excited that you're here because I want to hear what went into your encore career and coming to the attention of Civic Ventures and the Purpose Prize.
Well, I felt very honored to have been brought to their attention. That was fantastic.
What happened?
Well, it's, okay. First career, I was a journalist and a writer and a teacher in England and Africa, although I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I think you're from Iowa as well.
We share
so
that Iowa base.
That, absolutely. But something happened in my life that was really the tragedy that none of us want to think about. That happens to many people. But my son, who was a photojournalist working in Somalia in 1993, was stoned to death by a mob together with 3 other journalists.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And you may remember that story.
Oh, indeed I do.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was in the LA Times, and they called him, in the LA Times, they called him a bright light that shone for a very short time.
Oh, my.
But as a journalist myself, I felt pretty guilty because I'd sort of maybe been a bad example to him about telling stories that were important. But of course, he followed his own path and was killed at the age of 22. So at that point, you think, oh, you know, what are you going to do? How do you transform something that is truly unbearable into something that has a life force of its own?
How do you make lemonade?
How do you make lemonade?
Yes, I know
really,
that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, most of your viewers know that.
Yes.
And I think initially I got very involved in issues about journalism and really trying to make people understand that there was somebody between them and the newspaper, you know, that somebody was taking down the story or holding the camera. And I did that for a number of years, and I made documentaries about a variety of things. And then I decided I really wanted to do more. And 10 years ago, when I was 52, I guess it's the only show where you can admit how old you are. Exactly.
We brag about it here.
Exactly. I know. I'm so proud. I decided to start a foundation. And the foundation I called Creative Visions Foundation because I believe in my heart that if we create a vision for something and put up the scaffolding and put in the bricks, you know, you can really make something happen.
Yes, indeed.
But the whole point of it was to celebrate people like my son, Dan Eldon, who use their creative spark to do something that will affect the world in a positive way. And over the years, we've focused the foundation on people who use arts and media. So you'd be a creative activist.
In fact, I think that defines me.
Completely.
Much to the exasperation of the powers that be in the entertainment business. But I want to make sure we highlight this. CreativeVisionsFoundation.org, I assume.
Correct.
Okay, and I'll remind you again, pencil and paper, you want to take this stuff down. So when you started it, did you know what you were getting into?
Boy, I hadn't got a clue. Because in the beginning, we just had a little bit of money to give away, maybe $5,000, $6,000 a year, and we gave it to young filmmakers. And you remember Born into Brothels, that wonderful film?
Yes, sure.
We gave a bit of money to them, Genghis Blues. One went on to win an Oscar, one went on to be nominated for an Oscar. And then we realized that we could really help a little bit more by providing what they call fiscal sponsorship, which is to help people raise money, use your 501(c)(3) status, charitable status. So we did that. And then we realized that if we could really help nurture these projects and ideas and help give them form and focus, that they could go on from being a creative vision to being a tremendously exciting reality.
That's good. And there's a market for this. I mean, with all these film festivals, I have myself attended children's international film festivals, and their work product is astonishing. and all of them mentored, I might add, by an interested senior with experience. So how did the core group grow organically? I mean, once you started, then sort of one person comes and then the next person. How did that process go?
Never advertised, you know.
Well, that's good.
It's just people turn up on our doorstep. One of my interns, who was a 24-year-old girl, wanted to work with illiterate Indian women to help them tell their stories. And so we named this thing Video Volunteers. She was going to go out with a video camera and volunteer in India. Now, 5 years later, it is the largest producer of community videos in India. I mean, hundreds of community video workers. And she's been mentored. Our chairman of the board of that is probably 79 years old, and she's our chair as well. She's one of the clever, Ava Haller, one of the cleverest people I know.
I love hearing these things. But for you personally, you had a career in journalism. What feels different about this part of your life?
Everything.
Yeah.
I have never been more fulfilled or excited every morning. This guy gets up at 3:15 in the morning. I get up at 5:30 and feel guilty.
Wow.
But every day I wake up thinking, wow, you know, who am I going to meet? What am I going to do? It's an adventure. I lived in Africa. It's a safari. It's a way of life.
Yes.
And I think that for people watching, everybody can become a creative activist at any age. You know, you just think, look around you, what needs to be done? And then rally troops around you, you know, maybe other caregivers that you need to gather together a critical mass, which may be
That's
even
right.
2 people.
Building an army.
Exactly.
That's part of what it is. Now, speaking of an army, Jim, you've got to tell us about this gathering you just recently held where several score of people just like Kathy were under one roof.
Right. We just concluded a 3-day event that was the 2008 Purpose Prize Awards and the first ever Encore Careers Summit. Our idea there was, in the past we've brought together the Purpose Prize Fellows, usually 60 to 70 people a year, who are the top contenders each year for the Purpose Prize, and we celebrate and honor them, and we work to develop programs that will help them develop their creative spark and very much network with each other and learn about what each other is doing. But for the first time this year, we decided that we wanted to bring another group of people, 2 other groups of people really, people who were in Encore Careers who weren't necessarily social innovators. They were people who were seeking or had found satisfaction doing some work after their primary career that really addressed a problem that they cared very much about. And they're a fascinating group of people.
Oh, of course.
So we had probably another 75 people or 100 people who fell into that category. And then another 100 or so who represent organizations that can help us make the idea of Encore Careers a social reality. So foundations that can invest in it. People from nonprofit organizations who can hire people for their Encore Careers.
Right.
People in communities that are trying to find ways to bring the communities together to make them more Encore Career friendly. People from higher education, community colleges and four-year institutions that are thinking about how they can change their training programs so that somebody who has no background in, let's say, teaching can use their experience to quickly become somebody that's part of the educational system and secure a job for themselves at the same time as they're fulfilling maybe their dream of always teaching.
Very important, and this message goes right out to our audience. I know you're sitting there watching this, but this is you we're talking about. You were mentioning to me earlier today that we had people in their 90s who were participants in this. There were people in wheelchairs, there were people with walkers. So what?
That's right.
It's here. And it's here.
That's
and if you
absolutely
can
right.
engage yourself, you'll find that there's a world of need out there.
Yep.
Well, you know, I'm so pleased to report once again that the private sector and individual entrepreneurs are making the difference. This is not government work. This is one-on-one individuals saying, I'm going to tackle this. Now, I want to make sure people know how to get in contact with each of you. Kathy, let me start with you. We have creativevisionsfoundation.org.
Kathy Eldon at creativevisions.org.
Good, so you can email that one, text right away. and then the purposeprize.org, of course, but more importantly, you actually have a site called encore.org.
That's right. And there you'll find everything about the Encore career, from what's happening in the public policy arena to make this happen, to practical advice for individuals who want to start to think about how they can use their talent in a way that will help solve a problem that they care about, at the same time hopefully get them a job where they can actually be paid to do it.
It's fantastic that you've created this gateway and that you walked through it, Kathy. Unfortunately, our time is up for today's edition of Aging in LA. Thanks so much to our guests from Civic Ventures, Jim Emmerman, Director of the Purpose Prize, and Kathy Eldon, a 2008 Purpose Prize Fellow. Thank you both for joining us. Now, today, let's take a look at our senior stat shots. Once again, our facts come from the newly released LA County Seniors Count. And when we looked at statistics that gauged senior citizen interest towards productive activity in the areas of employment, civic activity, and recreation and leisure, here is what we found. First, recreation and leisure. 47% of seniors in LA County are interested in recreation. 42% are interested in entertainment. 25% like to take part in religious activities, and 36% are interested in educational activities. When it comes to civic engagement, 24% of seniors are interested in both volunteering and community involvement. And when looking at social activity for seniors, 29% of our older population has minor or serious problems with isolation. As far as employment is concerned, 13% would like to find a job, and 10% would be interested in job training or job placement. So it looks like our seniors of today really want to kick back and retire rather than go on working, but given today's economic climate, these numbers may change dramatically. And that's today's Senior Stat Shot. Now, you can get your own copy of this fact-filled survey. Remember, 16,000 people took part. Simply go online to www.ladcss.org, which is Los Angeles County Community and Senior Services. Click on LA County Seniors Count, and the full report will appear. Or, if you prefer, you can have a copy sent to you by calling area code 213-738-2065. That's 213-738-2065. The Los Angeles Department of Aging produces this program with CityView, Channel 35, so that seniors living in Los Angeles and surrounding communities are well informed on the many issues that face them in everyday life. And also to let you know of the many services that the Department of Aging offers our senior citizens. Now, we'd like to hear from you with comments on the program, what you like, what you think can be improved, and your ideas for future programs will be welcome. So give us a call. The number's right there on your screen, area 213-252-4088. That's area code 213-252-4088. Call us with your comments and ideas, and we look forward to hearing from you. I'm Paul Peterson for the Los Angeles Department of Aging, the people here at CityView, Channel 35, and all of our guests on Aging in LA. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.